Welcome back to the PIEX Data Break. The topic of today is what does data tell us about the performance of auctions in the year 2020? PIEX Data Break is an informal 10 minutes conversation among our market experts covering current our market trends. My name is Matteo Pace and I'm part of the research team at PIEX. For today's exciting topic, I'm delighted to be joined by Christie, founder and CEO of PIEX, board member of PIEM, bringing more than 20 years of experience in the R market. In 2014, Christine founded PIEX in London with the goal to bring innovative financial and analytical tools to the final market. Then, I would like to welcome Paolo Turati, who is a professor and economist based in Turin, Italy, with many years of senior experience in the art and financial world. As of today, Paolo coordinates the operations and events for Fidartis Family Office, and he's in charge of the Executive Wealth Management course at Turin University. So, let's jump to the question of the day. What does data tell us about the performance of the auction year in 2020? Christine, please start by enlightening us with data.
Well, thank you, Matteo. Very timely question. There's a lot to say about what happened in 2020. But before I jump into 2020, I think it's important to look at what happened before 2020. And I'm going to go back to the year 2008, when the market was going up until May 2008, and then it started to go down, the famous 2008-2009 crisis, until November 2009, and then went back up again until it reached its top in June 2015, and then went back down again until February 2017, before going back up, reached its top in September 2018, and then started to slowly go down. And we arrived there at December 2019, just before the year 2020 started. So what happened in 2020? Well, we can see three phases in 2020. The first phase, from January to June, was just a free fall. The market just went down and down. And as the PIEX AMI shows, which reflects the trading at the top three auction houses, there was a fall of 35% from the level in January 2020 until June 2020. This obviously was linked to the COVID-19 crisis, which forced all auction rooms to close, and the auction houses had to switch to online sales only, which they did very swiftly and in a very impressive fashion, but still the sales suffered. This was followed after that at the end of the spring, the auctions were able to reopen, and the second phase of the year 2020 was a growth phase from June 2020 until October 2021. And during that period of time, the trading increased by 31%. So definitely a lot of catch-up happened during that period. And then the last phase, between October and today, December, this was what one can call the yo-yo phase, because in November the trading went down, and then in December it increased again. December is not finished yet, but we can estimate at this point that we'll go back to 7.2 billion. And obviously this was linked to the shifting of auctions in the calendar. So 2020, as I said, can be explained in three phases. First, phase one, the sudden dive from January to June 2020. Then phase two, the partial recovery from June to October 2020. And finally, phase three, the yo-yo phase from October until December 2020. If we compare the current crisis, which, as you can see on the graph, actually started more in September 2018, and so far the bottom is June 2020, we can see that overall the fall was 49%. Compared to the 15 to 17 crisis, we can see that it's a bit worse, because the fall at that point was 37%. But then if we compare to the 2008-2009 crisis, we see that it's actually, the current crisis is not as bad, because at the time we had a 57% drop. So overall, assuming that June 2020 is a bottom for this crisis, I think we can estimate that it's in between the two previous crises in the art market, and hopefully from January 2021, we're just going to see a strong recovery for the market.
Christine, thank you so much for this insightful comment. And Paolo, what is your analysis on the topic?
Yes, I can see that the contemporary market has been through a very long and deep transformation over 2 decades, as everyone knows. We had an exponential rise until the subprime crisis in 2008, where there was a U crisis, 40% worse than the actual W crisis, as data given by Christine Bourron explained. Followed by the arrival of the Chinese R market, with the peak in 2014. The pandemic crisis in 2020 has once again broken the market's rhythm, we can say. Nevertheless, this moment may represent an opportunity for serious analysis of metamorphosis of auction houses, and especially of the contemporary art market, that is the segment of the market which harbors the biggest risk and opportunities. Some of which, you know, Cristina and Matteo, are already clear in 2020. The first of all due to the great increase of the African American artists. By giving greater weight to African American artists, museums and collectors are opening up new ways of reading history and contemporary iconography, and inviting us to reconsider the Western codes that have shaped the art, history, and art market. Over past 10 years, powerful international galleries and integrated African, British, and African artists, whose work is often engaged on issue of identity, race, culture, and politics. Among them, David Zwirner works, probably notably with Kerry James Marshall, with Nikeda Crosby, with Noah Davis. Hauser and Wirt represent artists such as Amy Sherald, Laura Simpson, and Mark Bradford, the most important of them, who inaugurated the Hauser and Wirt Hong Kong Gallery in 2018. Henry Taylor, I think, and Simon Lay joined the same gallery in 2020. But before, we can register even the exhibition of the African American artist Nathaniel Mary Quinn at Gagosian in 2019. And in gallery, in the auction room, you know, Cristina and Matteo, prices often went up fast. Many collectors are willing to bank on the development of artists who have just joined a large gallery, even when their reputation remains to be established. At the moment, we don't know what will be the futures of these artists. Anyway, some artists still in their 30s have seen their action estimated multiply, then fall quickly, like the most important of this year, Amoako Boafo, and then Chabalala Self and Otis Kwaikoe, for example. This is an important movement in this year, and it is important to underline it.
Absolutely.
Paolo, thank you so much for sharing your view on this subject. Now I would like to summarize the main takeouts from the two presentations of our amazing speakers. From Christine's presentation, we learned that 2020 was a very unusual year. This really showed us the importance of tracking the market on an ongoing basis to understand what is happening and where the market is going. Paolo instead offered a rapid view of the previous downturn on the art market and gave an in-depth presentation of emerging opportunities. Dear viewers, Christine and Paolo, thank you so much for your attention and the time spent together today. If you want to suggest a topic for one of the next chats, please do not hesitate to contact me on LinkedIn or via email at mpace@piex.co. For today, that's all, but please join us soon on another PIEX Data Break with another topic on the art market. I very much look forward to seeing you soon on PIEX Data Breaks.